Member for Burnaby-Lougheed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It gives me great pleasure this morning to rise in the House to make a private member statement on putting an end to fee gouging. By capping foreign money transfer fees and improving the standards of business practices by the vendors, we can protect British Columbians from predatory fees applied to international money transfers, also known as remittances. Remittances are big business. In Canada, international remittances amount to roughly $24 billion a year, more than 5 times the amount of international aid that the country provides as a whole. A great number of British Columbians and migrant workers send their hard-earned dollars to help their loved ones living abroad, and most commonly to countries like the US, the UK, France, as well as India, Philippines, and China, dispelling the popular notion that remittances are exclusive to developing countries. These money transfers are also the means for sending emergency cash to family and friends traveling abroad, for providing regular support for children studying in other countries, for direct individual-to-individual relief as international aid during natural disasters, and for other charitable causes. In order to send money, remitters in Canada generally need to rely on specialized money transfer agencies. Processing remittances is a highly profitable business for companies such as Western Union, MoneyGram, and others. With globalization and technological advancements, it is now easier than ever before to send money abroad. However, some money transfer companies are charging large and often hidden fees to British Columbians for handling their remittances. With no regulations in place in BC currently on the rates nor the disclosure standard, thousands of Canadians are getting gouged by companies charging exorbitant fees for this service every year. So, Honorable Speaker, many senders are low to middle income individuals who remit small sums and often, such as $200 monthly, as opposed to any big one-time amount. British Columbians are sending money abroad, paying a flat fee of $12 to $20 per transaction or even more, be it $100 or $200 that they're sending. This means that for most transactions, fees range from 7.5% to 12% of the transfer amount, and this doesn't even include the additional and often undisclosed conversion fees for currency exchange that are estimated by ACORN, the Association of Community Organizations for Reform Now, to add another 4 to 6%. There's a gross lack of transparency and fee disclosure practice in this industry that will continue to prey on remitters without a legislative regulation in place. Even with the suggested government website for rate comparison, if one would even know where that is and how to find it, the challenge would still remain for many senders with limited capacity to make an informed choice on the vendor, as the posted transfer fees and the currency exchange rates vary greatly from agency to agency and day to day. Presently in BC, the fees being charged average 15% of the total amount transferred, and they can go as high as 20%, far higher than the fees that we see in other countries like the UK, Spain, Italy, Russia, Malaysia, and even just south of the border in the US. As Dr. Pamela Stern, an anthropologist at SFU, puts it, this is a regressive and even punitive expense for someone earning the average rate of pay in Canada, and for immigrants especially, who typically earn less than non-immigrant Canadians. So, Honorable Speaker, every year, 20,000 workers from Mexico and the Caribbean make their journey to work in Canada's agriculture sector, largely in British Columbia, and many of them are left to find their own ways to remit money without any assistance from the government that has brought them here. And I quote Kay Bisnath and Pascal Apua from ACORN that our governments can no longer afford to be apathetic towards the plight of migrant workers in remittances. The senders who share their stories with the student researchers at SFU explain why they remit and how their families abroad use that money. Immigrant remittances are sent for the very same reasons and used in the exact same ways that non-immigrant Canadians spend their money on their kin. Tuition for a child's education, a loan to help a sibling start a business, support for aging parents, skilled nursing care for their ailing grandparent. So this is not only a fairness issue for all Canadians and immigrants and non-immigrants, as well as migrant workers, but it is also a social justice issue. They want to provide the same kind of familial support that is common to all of us, whether our loved ones live in Canada or abroad. It is wrong that they must pay premium, and a hefty one at that, to share their money with their loved ones. Even the US enacted consumer protection legislation requiring exactly the kind of disclosure standards that we need in Canada. Yet despite the continual demands made to our governments to regulate money transfer organizations and cap the fees, only a limp promise thus far exists that there will be perhaps more disclosure. I'm joined by the Ontario NDP MPP Jagmeet Singh and federal NDP MP Peggy Nash, who are also calling for remittance regulation in their respective jurisdictions with Bill 88 and Bill C-665. And we are not alone in our campaign as our community organizations, academia, and British Columbians call on our governments for action. It's time that we align British Columbia with the international standards that are recommended by the World Bank, which state that a maximum of 5% of the total money transfer be charged for providing the service. By regulating these predatory fees to a maximum of 5% and increasing transparency, we can protect British Columbians from fee gouging and help them see more funds made to the hands of their loved ones.